Delighted to welcome on head coach of Team Ryano, one of my favourite men in Irish mixed martial arts, and he loves me back, I think, equally the same. It's Mr. Andy Ryan. Andy, how are you, my friend? Great to have you on.
I go, what do you mean one of? Should be D. Yeah.
I apologise. How are you?
Like that again. You can introduce me again there.
All right, okay.
Well, I'm only joking, Glad to be on. About time.
Sure, we've only just started this. You're complaining already.
Wouldn't even invite me into the studio there because I'm from the north side.
Yeah, no, no Northsiders allowed here in the studio.
No, so red at home.
Andy, listen, great stuff. Obviously, last weekend in Bahrain at the IMMAF Worlds, a couple of your guys involved as well. 8 out of 11 got medals. Incredible turnaround. You're a guy who's obviously been involved in the past with IMMA. Just your thoughts on that? Absolutely phenomenal achievement for the lads.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. IMMAF is the way to go for MMA, especially amateur MMA. I was at the Europeans there earlier this year when they introduced the junior division, the 18 to 21 division, and it was brilliant. No pressure, no big build-ups, no big entrance walks out. Like the lads are weighing in at 6 in the morning. They're in the warm-up area at 9. They're in the cage at 10, 11 in the morning. Fight after fight. It's like a proper tournament. It's like a sports tournament. Countries from all over the world. Really, really good. And it's great to say the Irish are one of the best. We are one of the best. And I think, and we talked about this plenty of times in the past. Denzel White, who's head of the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation, has said that they're aiming to have this an Olympic sport by, I think, the Olympics in LA in 2028. What are your thoughts on that? The government here really have to start getting behind it and recognise the sport when we're taking home a medal haul like we just have. Yeah, I think they will once we get there. We have to distinguish between professional MMA and amateur MMA. That's the problem. So when the government and people in Ireland look at MMA, they look at Conor McGregor, UFC, big belts, all that type of stuff. They don't look at the sports end of it, or the young lads, the athletes. So that's what has to be looked at. It's two different sports, like amateur boxing and professional boxing. Two separate sports. Exactly. And, and it's great to say Ireland's one of the best. Do you think it's heading towards the Olympics? Do you really feel it that way? Because, if we look at how it was set up... I don't know. When you look at the Olympics are getting rid of sports rather than bring them in. I think it would be a great sport to bring in there. It's new, it's a fresh sport. I don't know how politics work in sports, but see, the good thing with IMMAF, Denzel and Kerritt, the guys behind that, the CEO and the chairman, they come from an Olympic sport, judo. They've ran the judo, the London Olympics, and they've been part of the European Judo Board and stuff, so they know the Olympic procedures, they know how Olympic sport works. Of course, both the boys were in the Olympic Games, one was an Olympic medalist, so they know how to play it. I think it would be great. It'd be great for Ireland, get into the Olympic Games there where we're good, a sport where we have some of the best in the world already. You're a guy you used to be involved with IMMA, and what's the situation there in terms of the liaising with the government? Is there any sort of contact at all between Minister Ross and Sports Ireland? Yeah, so for me, I was part of the board, vice president. I stepped away from that because I'm more interested in working with the squad and the fighters. Leave that to the guys that are good at it. They're doing a great job. I would be taking over the role as a team manager, coach, that type of thing. I'll fill you in that in a second. But the lads are doing a lot of work. What people don't realise, they're at meetings constantly. They're going getting legal advice. They're sitting down having meetings. They're back and forth with the government over this. The whole tragedy with that poor guy passed away sort of put a block sort of an MMA. It's seen as a vicious sport where it's not. When you break it down, it's not. It's very well structured. The medical standards are really good. So there's a lot of going on in the background that people don't know about, and they moan and gripe about IMMAF and stuff. Well, what exactly has been going on? Do we know? Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on, but they're going in and they be told, we want A, B, C, D done. They go and do that. Then they come in and say, okay, well that's not good enough. We want you to look at this, or for an example, the sports that we, the safety standards we put in place. They're very extreme. Do you need to have that much? Okay, let's go and have a look at it again. So I just think it's trial and error at the moment. I know that the committee are getting advice. They're sitting down with proper business people and proper people that know how to the ins and outs of setting up associations. That's underway as far as I know.
Do you think there's been enough done then on the government's end?
No. They don't want, realistically, they don't want the hassle, for me anyway, they don't want the hassle of another, national governing body. They want us to go under the wings of IMMA or something like that, you know what I mean? That the Martial Arts Commission, they want us under that, but it's not going to work like that, because we, as you say, we're aiming for that Olympic type of sport. That's what we are. But, and I think we have to be a standalone sport, like judo, like boxing, I think, or like wrestling.
Andy, you know what I think, and I thought this for quite some time, and I think, over the years with the media as well, a lot of the print media especially, they don't realise how popular this sport is in this country and how many gyms there actually is. That is the major issue for me, and if there's, a large percentage of people actually participating in the sport, they have to take it on board. It's, they're causing more problems.
I'm in Finglas and Donna made my 2 gyms there. The kids are up here training off the streets, getting involved, keeping themselves fit, learning some discipline, respect. They're learning to be better people. They're not hanging around street corners causing trouble. Why would you want to stop that? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
It's the pro side too that's obviously being affected by this, and we obviously want, amateur guys to get recognised. It's been a massive problem for pro fighters in this country as well to get fights, because there's not obviously the fight cards getting sanctions, because there's a promoter's nightmare here at the moment. Talk to me about the pro guys you have in your gym that haven't been able to get fights.
Well, we only went through this. I think we have 15 pro fighters and we have 30 amateurs, and it's even trying to get the amateurs to fight is a nightmare. I have 5 amateurs fighting in Liverpool next week. Yeah, it is hard to get them on the shows here. I can understand the safety stuff, but for me, I do think it's a little bit too extreme. Like, for me, everyone in my gym has the brain scan done. That's something we do as a gym, as a team. I get that done anyway. My lads do it. We work with Cole Blue and Glenn Ellis. He does
a great job, Glenn Ellis.
And that's grand. But when we go to IMMAF Worlds or we go to a competition up the north, we don't need a brain scan. So when you're trying to enforce on a certain group of lads in the south, it is a little bit hard. Or if I want to put a battle zone on there, I want to put a show on, and I say, okay, we're going to bring in 10 guys from the UK. They won't get the scans. They get the blood test and the medical, the basics, what they use in the UK and Safe MMA. But they won't get it because they say, well, hang on a minute, we don't need to get it, Yeah. So I think that's what's killing Irish MMA at the moment. The show's out the door up the north of Ireland. Yeah. So it's a little bit crazy, a little bit crazy. I do understand the safety. Like, we've had 3 lads here who got the scans done. 1 got a brain operation, and the other 2 lads are fit to fight. Just they were told, keep an eye on it. You know what I mean? But it's still. I'm glad they got it done. It's okay for me and my gym, but I can understand why people can't get it done. I don't.
You're the man, obviously. You're the man. Sorry? You're the man, obviously, in charge of Cagewarriors Academy as well, as you mentioned there. You're doing a fantastic job with that, by the way. Are you the man to head up everything in terms of amateur MMA in this country? In a coaching capacity?
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Is that what you want to do? Do you want to be?
No, I tell you what. I
Team Ireland coach.
I sat down with the lads. I went to the Europeans and I went over there as sort of coach. I watched how we did things, and I watched how the Swedish were the #1 team. Them and the Bulgarians were really good. Now the world's just gone. The Russians destroyed everything. Yeah. Such a big team. But I sat down with the Swedish, asked them how they worked, how they selected the team, what they'd done. So I said, okay, if Ireland wants to improve and we want to be in the top, it's that top 3 all the time, we have to be more professional. We have to take that, the way the boxing, the elite programs, we've got to put that into place. So I put a bit of a program together. I'm going to sit down with the committee and show it to them. And if they're interested, I'll jump on board as the coach. But what I'll do is I'll bring in 4 or 5 people to help out. Liam Hogan Cork is a great manager for Team Ireland. He's been involved with all the teams going away the last while. That man does an awful lot of work. People don't realise. When you go to these World Games or the European Games, the amount of paperwork and meetings and emails and visas and all that done, he does them all the time. He's very, very good. So hopefully I'll have him on the team with me, and then we'll pick a coaching panel then to work with, But it's not just, okay, the world is on, who wants to go? You're from Andy's gym, or you're from John's gym.
Of course.
No. You meet we want to put a point system into place. If you're inactive, you do not qualify. So you can't be some superstar from a gym, doesn't bother their arse to fight in 2 or 3 years and just jump up for a World Championships. You've got to be regularly training. You've got to come to squad sessions. And you've got to be competing on the UK and Irish scene. That's what we want. We're going to do a point system from then and then pick the best squad. We don't have the money at the moment.
That's what I was going to ask you. That's obviously crucial funding. You know, the lads, they couldn't even get tracksuits, you know, for the Worlds a couple of weeks. In my eyes, that's a disgrace in the government that are not stepping up and recognising this.
One or two lads who got on the team didn't have them because we're probably a bit late. Liam Og actually organised tracksuits for the Europeans. He got more than enough, and all people had to do was buy them. Some people didn't want to buy them. That's the problem.
Well, but in terms, Andy, it really should be looked after by the government when you're pulling medal hauls back like we did.
Yeah, of course. But that's where we go to the government now with that and say, you know, instead of crying about it all the time, let's just go and do it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Let's go and do it. Let's show them for it.
I agree, you know, but how far can you go if there's no money coming in?
Well, I think we just have to be recognised for us. We have to get that stamp to say, okay, you guys are running MMA in Ireland, you know. There's a little bit of bickering at the moment, and even that thing with the minister at that time stopping that show in Mead, like, that was wrong. Like, he said on the news, I have no power to stop the show, but it's not going ahead. Why? Like,
I think Minister Ross is one of the biggest problems. For
that show, okay, like, they're not, they weren't part of IMMAF or part of what we do. That's grand. But they did have the same standards, you know, medical standards as I have up the north for my show, or the lads had at the Worlds. You had medicals and doctors and everything. You just didn't have the scans. So to go and stop them, it's a bit much, you know what I mean? Because I think that's driving it underground. Let people have their shows, monitor it. Okay, they're going all right. Their lads are getting in doctors, they're getting in proper medics. You know, okay, the fights are being run in a proper cage, there's proper referees, there's proper... That's okay. Now what's happening is these are starting to run them into clubs behind closed doors. You don't know who's fighting. You don't know who's refereeing. You don't know whether there's a medic there or not, you know. And I think them lads were doing the right thing.
That's going to be a bigger problem in years to come if, you know, there is no recognition. The sport, as you said, is going to go underground and we're going to see more and more injuries and problems.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people in Ireland don't realise how good IMMAF is really, and don't realise the bigger picture, like the Olympics. You know, when you go to that World Championships or you go to the European Championships, it's super. Like, you're there, you know, you're in the change room with different countries from around the world. You're competing against them, you're winning, you're losing. There's none of this thing of, oh, I'm not getting beaten tonight. You know, I got third in the Worlds, or I went out second round. You know, it's a bit more sport friendly. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
It's brilliant. It's very good.
Andy, so before we move on, how do you see this panning out then in the next year? Do you think we're at a point where the government have to basically proverbially shit or get off the pot?
Yeah, I think so. I think they have to sit down now when they go and meet the committee, whoever's going to meet them. You know, show them what we've done, show them how far we're gone in the world. You know, and say, look, we need your support. You need to get off the fence here. You know, give us a stamp of approval here. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, there must be more MMA gyms in the country than there is wrestling gyms.
Yeah, it's a point I've made to a few of the guys in the office in there, and you know, in terms of obviously the boxing World Championships was on in Delhi as well last weekend, and you know, there was a lot of coverage of that. Yet there's very, very little coverage of mixed martial arts, and we've obviously had coverage on Off the Ball here, which has been great. But Andy,
the level at that World Championships was unbelievable, and for Irish guys taking gold medals,
it's incredible.
Medals and bronze medals is unbelievable, and that's why we got to keep on the ball now. If we stop and slack back, we'd be forgotten about. Russia come in out of nowhere and took most of the medals. Ireland was up there knocking on the door with them, you know.
Yeah, incredible medal haul from the amount of athletes we had over there. Absolutely sensational. Yeah. You know, one of the real stories of the Worlds just gone by. Andy, all right, what's happening at Cagewarriors Academy show coming up?
Cagewarriors Academy. Well, first of all, we're in Cagewarriors Academy in Liverpool next week. We've got 5 lads in that. And then the week after, Cagewarriors 100 in Wales. We've got a
brilliant
couple of lads on the final of the Amateur Grand Prix. And there's some good Irish guys in that card that night. Philip Peter and John McCall that night, aren't
of course, yeah.
There should be 2 cracker fights. And then our own Cagewarriors Academy Ireland is in February. Brilliant. And we're going to try and add in a couple of pro fights. Mostly we were keeping it as a grower, feeder show with the amateurs, you know.
Where's that going to be on, Andy?
Belfast.
Great stuff.
You know, all my shows are in Belfast from next while because it's a bit more simpler.
Yeah.
I contacted the Ulster Mixed Martial Arts Association and I say, okay, what do I need to put a show on here? I want you guys come and commission my show. Danny Carr sat down with me and said, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. We'll come and commission your show. We'll check that your fighters are safe, not safe. We'll show what medics you use and whatever else. And the show was great. We had a great show up there with them,
Great
Hopefully
stuff.
we can do the same in Dublin.
Great stuff. Any word on what's going on with Paul Redmond at the moment? Is he still there in the gym?
He's fighting in Polaris in a couple of weeks. The guys in Tatami there, I asked him there, I said, look, Paul's on a loose end. He's waiting to fight in Bellator. Any chance to get him on Polaris? They said, yeah, no problem. We have a good junior guy going to smash. So he's some good Welsh guy going to give him a good scrap. So it's something to keep him going.
And any signs of a fight in Bellator? Any opponents? Any word of?
Nothing at all. Nothing. And that's the other gas thing I was only saying. I think Reds are Miles, and maybe the main guys who are signed from Bellator will be fighting in February. But what about the other 40 guys that are being signed?
It's crazy.
When are they going to fight?
Well,
crazy, isn't it?
That's another knock-on from, as we said, the sport not getting recognised here, because I know there was talks about a December show of Bellator here, and that doesn't seem to be happening because of the issues we've had there with the government. So it's obviously affecting the pro guys to a large extent in this country as well. But listen, we'll hope that gets resolved. Andy Ryan, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. Do appreciate the time.
Very much. Come back. All right. Your birthday, is it? It's your birthday?
It is indeed, yeah.
I'm on my way over to give you the bumps.
Happy birthday, horse box.
I'm on my way over to give you the bumps.
A pleasure as always, my friend.
Listen, thanks very much. Right, speak to you soon.